so with that, we welcome to the stage, Jules today.
Project from here without the microphone. Thank you. Well, hi. I'm okay with this one. I'm gonna sit because I'm in a heel and it's been a long day. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the day, you guys. Oh, it's so nice. So, who has a question? Because I'm gonna spill some dirt today. Anything goes. Yes.
Your character is such a kind of crazy, Kaylee's such a crazy, unpolished.
You said crazy twice now about Kaylee, by the way. She's all, Kaylee's so crazy. She's just such a crazy, she's crazy. She is unpolished. Thank you. Here's the thing about Joss Whedon. He writes really good. So basically, you don't really have to do much to get into those characters. He has a knack for fleshing out a character so well that all you have to do is be lucky enough to get the part and show up and stand your mark and try to, you know, do the best job you can. But she was fun right from the get-go. And the weirdest part about doing a series, and the thing that a lot of people don't really realize, being an actor, especially doing series work, is that you don't necessarily know everything there is to know about the character from the get-go, right? From the beginning. So there's all these hidden secrets about her past and her upbringing and who she really is, aka Out of Gas, that episode, and I was like, she's rather promiscuous. Got it. Because it changed things a little bit for me, you know? I was playing a lot of her innocence and this sweet naivety that I thought was much more prevalent in her character than it really was. I mean, she's actually very confident and a very sexual person. So yeah, that's kind of the fun part as an actor, is just sort of finding the surprises that go along the way. That's a good start. Yes, you with the red hair. Oh, that lovely pink dress. I'd like to lay a match to that dress. The worst part about it? There are three terrible things about that dress. The first thing is, you can't get through a doorway because there's a giant hoop underneath the dress. And the second part about that dress and the hoop is that every time you have to pee, you have to gather up the dress in front of the entire crew while some lovely wardrobe assistant undoes the hoop and you gracefully step out of it while showing everyone your backside and your underwear, and gather all the material in your arms and go to the bathroom and have to somehow try to not pee on the dress. There was also not a lot of sitting in regular chairs. So the guys would prop up an apple box for me to perch on and then fan the dress out around me. And there's one scene in that episode where I get back to the ship and Badger has us all on lockdown, basically. And I was supposed to be in the dress for that entire sequence, but because at that point I hated the dress, I very sweetly batted my eyes at Joss, that works, by the way, and asked him if he would be so kind as to let me be in the coveralls for that scene. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense with the writing, because what's Badger going to do? He's you know, going to have you guys as hostages. The hostages would be really nice enough to let you change clothes. And I said, yes. And he said, okay. So that's why I'm back in the coveralls. I know how to manipulate Joss. It's one of my special talents. Who has a question over here? I feel like I'm ignoring the side of the room. Yes, you, Kaylee, hi. Well, I would say Firefly is definitely one of my favorite things that I've done, but Stargate Atlantis was a really good one for me because you guys like Stargate. Can we sing the Stargate theme song? I love that he made you do that, by the way. He's a piece of work, that one. I would say that one was really fun because it shot in my hometown, which is Vancouver, BC. I'm from Canada, and I still live there. And I got to sleep in my own bed for 3 years, which never happens. Also, Stargate had really good food. We had the best caterers in the world. We actually had a professional, used-to-be pastry chef as one of our caterers, which is a great thing and a terrible thing, because she would bake these beautiful 5-tiered coconut cream, ridiculous, luscious cakes. And you know, the food's free, right? So you pile your plate up with food, and then you get to the end of the line, and there's this big, beautiful cake, and you're not going to say no because it's cake and it's free. So there was just a lot of eating. And we had these breakfast sandwiches that were, I called them crack sandwiches because I was totally addicted to them. But by season 5, my uniform was getting really tight. And I remember going down to the wardrobe room, and I was like, so, in the future, let's not put my clothes in the dryer because they're getting a little snug. And they're like, we're not putting your clothes in the dryer. We're taking them to the dry cleaner. And I was like, everybody have a great day. And the same thing was happening with David Hewlett. Like, I'm telling you that last season, Jason Momoa gained weight, we all gained weight. And we're like about to roll, and David would suck it in and do up his jacket. It was ridiculous. The food was so good. So there you go. Yes, sir. How did I get Stargate? So I auditioned for a part of a wraith who was raised by humans in season 2. And I had no idea what a wraith was. And this script came along and I said, well, shoots at home, I'd love to do it. But I didn't read the breakdown of the character very well. It said something like some prosthetics required, which is a joke, because you're in the makeup trailer for 4 hours. It's a complete and utter nightmare. So I shot that, and they said, we'd love to have you back. And I said, I'd love to come back, but I don't want to come back as the wraith because that was horrible. When you wear prosthetics on set, you're this ugly monster. It's the weirdest thing because no one wants to talk to you. Like, everyone just avoids you. It's like, I'm not really an alien who's going to kill you. But for some reason, no one talks to you. So it was a very weird, lonely experience. So they agreed, and about a year later, they called out of the blue, completely out of the blue, and asked if I would come on as their new doctor. And I said, are there prosthetics? And they said, not in the first episode. And I said, great. Yes, we're in the back. Hi.
Hi. What was the best part about playing Jennifer Keller?
The best part about playing Keller? Well, I had these boys after me all the time, so that was pretty cool. I really loved the stuff that I got to do with David. And I get asked a lot, you know, if you were really Keller, which I am, kind of, would you choose Ronan or would you choose McKay? And I think that her choice was correct because they're both intellectuals, they're both kind of nerdy, and she calms him down. She's like this, they're a great balance with each other. But if it were me, I would choose Shepard. Like, he's kind of the guy to go for, in my opinion. I mean, Ronan's hot and everything, but brains over brawn any day, for me. And Shepard kind of has it all. Don't tell him I said that. Don't put that on the internet. It's gross. Okay, good. I don't need Joe to know that, ever. I really don't.
Don't worry, me on Twitter and flash.
I know it will, you guys. You lie all the time. You go, oh, it's our secret in this room with my video camera.
We'll tag you too, just so that you can see it.
What's that?
We'll tag your pic.
Great, thanks so much. Really, such sweet people down here. Who's next? Anybody else? Where? Oh, yes, in the front, and then I promise you're next.
What can we look forward to doing in the near future?
I've been working on this show for the last couple years at home, once again in Vancouver, called The Killing. It used to be on AMC, and then AMC canceled it, and Netflix picked it up. So season 4 premieres August 1st on Netflix, and it's a whodunit crime drama. It's very well written, but it's very dark. And I play the love interest of one of the leads, which is played by Joel Kinnaman, who's RoboCop. Yeah. It really wasn't a tough time for me. It's been a good couple years, guys. Yes.
Firefly question. Did you ever read the sequel comics to Serenity?
I feel weird about that. I don't know what it is. I think it's a jealousy thing because I don't get to play that part anymore. Yeah, I understand. You know, it's this funny thing because people always say to me, "Don't you miss it?" And we want it back, and we just want to see you all again. But for us, we still see each other all the time, you know? So I have nothing to miss, in a way. The only thing I really, truly miss, is, and am kind of bitter about, is that everybody's story wasn't allowed to continue in the television or movie format. So for me, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet to read that stuff, and I can't quite bring myself to do it. I do know, and I do find out with every issue, make sure that I don't die, because that's important. Same thing I did with the movie script. I flipped to the end and made sure I was still alive, because that's what you do. Poor Alan. I have a really sick sense of humor, if you haven't been able to tell already. Let's go to this side of the room. Anybody on this side? Yes, you.
Every character that was in Firefly had a secret that they're building towards. I haven't read the comics, but what was Kaylee's secret?
Well, I don't think Kaylee had a secret. I think Kaylee's an open book. Like, if anybody is, you know, forthright on that ship, it's definitely her. She had absolutely nothing to hide, and she didn't hide it to a fault, almost. So, as far as I know, I mean, I know all the secrets and all that stuff, as we were told at the beginning of the show. But as far as I know, she's secretless. She's one of those. It's a good thing, I think. She wears her heart on her sleeve, you know? It's nice. She is, yeah. Who's next over here? Way in the back, yes, you, yes.
I'm shocked now. Oh yeah. So, you know, Alan does a lot of voice acting, and it's really nice to watch movies like Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph and know that he's voice acting. Have you ever thought about voice acting? Because that would be awesome.
I've done a fair amount of voice acting, especially when I was little. I did a show called, an animated show called Sabrina the Teenage Witch for a while. So I've done a lot that you don't know about.
Who were you on Sabrina?
I was like 5 different people. I was. Every time they brought me in, I was somebody new. It's fun. The weirdest part about voice acting to me is it's kind of lonely. Like, you're in a booth by yourself, not really interacting with anybody else. At least with Sabrina, they'd have 5 of us in there, and we'd all have mics, and we would just go line for line. So it was a little bit more interactive. But I'm one of those actors that likes to look in the eyes of who I'm working with. So it's a bit of a detachment for me. But that's funny that you mentioned that about Alan, because I was on a plane, and Frozen was on, and I was like, all right, I'll finally watch Frozen. Because I can cry in private on a plane. No one knows I'm crying in Frozen. I saw through the credits his name pop up, and he's never told me he did Frozen. So I was like, what? And had to rewind and experience Alan doing this crazy-ass voice.
Isn't that normal, though?
Isn't it normal for him to do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess so. Alan's a bit of a performer, definitely. You go to dinner with him, and we all can just sit back and let him go. He's like a wind-up toy. Wind him up, You go forth, entertain, dance, monkey, dance. He's very talented. He's very talented. Yes, you.
What was it like being on Supernatural, then being killed off in Supernatural?
I didn't mind being killed off. Honestly, like I was just happy to be a part of the show. It had been forever that at the very beginning I was auditioning for it, and then I was talking about doing it, and then Jensen was directing that episode, and he's an old friend. So it worked out perfectly. I'm really glad that I got the one that he was directing. And he's surprisingly a great director. Like usually when one of the leads on a show decides they want to direct, we all go, oh great. Because they usually have no idea what they're doing, and it can be rather painful. But he was awesome. He knew exactly what he wanted. If he was unsure about something, he wasn't afraid of asking for help from the crew. He's an extremely humble human being, and kind. Just really kind and relaxed, not stressed. So everyone was just joking around and laughing all the time. Like they were all just so relaxed in their job. It had been going on for so long. It was such a well-oiled machine that was impressive to me. They were all so sweet. Jared's a big goofball and so lovely. I just wish they were better looking. You can't have it all. They'll work again, hopefully. Yes, you in the back. Yes.
In Firefly, it seemed like Joss Whedon developed a lot about the universe that he didn't necessarily show on in the episodes, and I was wondering if he ever talked about some of the concepts that he came up with for the universe that never actually made it to the screen.
Well, he wrote a big Bible, that's what he called it, a big Bible about the show. And it was real thick, and it had all the information we would need to know, which was really cool. And he did the same thing for the movie. He talked about how he wanted us to be lit, how he wanted us to look, the feeling he wanted to get as an audience member when we came on screen. It was extremely helpful. But yeah, all kinds of secrets in there that of course we can never disclose, which is sad. Because you never know, right? So we can't really spill the beans or kill Kaylee off just in case it ever came back. Someone said to me something the other day, they said, wouldn't it be great if they redid Firefly, you know, with like, in a few years if they rebooted it and did a whole new cast, just like they do with all these other shows? And I was like, no. And I got really mad about it. Like, it's amazing how territorial I still feel about that. I think we all do. Like, can you imagine Nathan if they hired another Mal? He would lose his mind. He'd be like outside picketing. He's such a freak show. He'd be out there like, the pickaxe, freaking out. Yeah, that would make me really sad. So they better not do that. If they do bring it back in any way, shape, or form, they better call us first. I think Joss would. Yes, you and the friend. Stargate, there weren't too many practical jokes, but Firefly there was a lot, just because Nathan is who he is. He's also a bit of a wind-up toy, and he goes for the cheap laugh all the time. Like, he doesn't care how he makes you laugh, he just needs to get that laugh out of you. He loves screwing up takes. One of the first days I worked with him was the scene where I'm shot in the cargo bay, and it's a very serious, dramatic moment, and he came running over and leaned down over me, and I heard this big rip, and he was like, I just split my pants. No moment is sacred. That scene with Tracy in the coffin and the message, and this guy, like, they did the whole thing on a Steadicam, which it's sort of a rig that the cameraman wears. It looks almost like braces over him, and this big camera comes out, and it has this beautiful gliding kind of effect. And his job was to glide over all of our faces very, 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 very slowly, getting our reactions to this recording that Tracy had left in the coffin. And one take, Nathan is standing there, and the camera moves over to Adam, and he ducked under the camera, and then he was standing by Adam. And then he was standing by Alan. And like, he did it for every single one of us. And then at the end, the camera pans embracing Tracy. Like, no moment is sacred. And he's still that way, you know, like, Nathan kills me. And I'm the worst, like, everything he does makes me laugh, so he knows I'm the person to go to for the cheap laugh. So it's always me screwing up takes because of Nathan. You in the way back. You, yes.
Sort of an odd question, but of all the TV characters and movie characters and book characters that you've been exposed to, who would you like to actually sit down and have dinner with?
Well, that's interesting. Not the Firefly crew, because they ate terribly. Felt bad for them on that ship. I don't know. That's a really, really good question. Probably like the Supernatural boys. That'd be kind of fun. It's like a double date, but just with 3.
And you get pie. And you get pie.
Exactly. It's a win-win for everybody. Yes, sir.
Speaking of Nathan, it was a great cast episode with Nathan and Adam. Where did you approach that? Where was it possible?
I haven't been approached. I think it's always just been this weird thing where every time they shoot, I'm shooting. But yeah, I haven't been approached, and I know they're starting to near the end a little bit. But yeah, I'd like to do it if they ask. I think it'd be fun, as long as I'm not, you know, Nathan's love interest or anything, because that ain't gonna happen. Never. That's like, I'll have a nightmare about that tonight. Just saying it out loud. That is a no-go for me. Yes? I don't know. I mean, Jensen Ackles is kind of a mythical unicorn. Like, he's so beautiful in person, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. His skin, everything, the way he smells, everything about him, he's just this glorious creature. And he's a really nice guy. My friend Cindy, she hates when I tell this story, but I don't care, she's not here. Her name is Cindy Busby. She's an actress as well. She was in one of the American Pies, and she was in a show called Heartland. Do you guys get Heartland down here? She's done a bunch of stuff. And I had my wardrobe fitting for Supernatural, and I brought Cindy with me, because it was a long drive away from home, and we were going out to lunch or whatever. So I brought Cindy, and Jensen was good enough to come. I didn't know he was going to do this, but he was good enough to come down to the wardrobe room and say hello. He came down and said, "Oh, hi." And Cindy's always had this thing for Jensen. And Cindy's this, like, brass, very confident, like, hilarious life of the party. She's like the clown in our group of friends. She's hilarious, very confident. And she just turned into a pile of Jell-O. And he came in the room, and I'm talking away, and I'm like, "Oh, this is my friend Cindy. Cindy, this is Jensen." And she did this, no word of a lie. Her voice changed. She went like this, "Hello, I'm Cindy." It's like, so sweet. "Nice to meet you." And he leaves, and I just looked at her, and she's like, "I don't know what happened. I don't know." She's like, "I blacked out. I don't know what just happened." It was the best. And then the best part is, a few weeks later, she booked her own guest star on Supernatural and had to work with him. I was like, good luck with that. But she was so cute. She was like, "Can I get a picture with you before we finish shooting?" And he was like, "Absolutely." And they worked this huge day, and at the very end of the day, they called, "That's a wrap," and everyone packs up, and everyone's leaving. And she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to get that picture." And she went back to the trailers, and he was waiting there for her. He was waiting. He was like, "Hey, how about that picture?" I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. I know. Oh, no. Yes, you. Yes. Well, I mean, I have one, but it's kind of I have an inappropriate story. I mean, it's not that bad. I won't do the hand gestures or anything, so don't worry about it. Nathan and I have this competition about how to flip each other the bird. And it started off really innocently, where he would go, "Hey!" And he'd have like a scarf over his hand, and he pretended to do a magic trick, and then whipped the scarf off and gave me the middle finger. So it's just sort of a competition to see like how often we could do it without the other person realizing that we were doing it. And he made me this beautiful little jewelry box with a butterfly on it. And he was like, hey, I just wanted to give you something. I love working with you, and I made you a little something. And I should have known, of course, but I don't, because I fall for everything he does. And I was like, oh, thanks. And I opened the lid, and he cut a hole in the bottom and just stuck his So, I was staying at his house, and it was near Valentine's Day, and I wrote him the creepiest fan letter possible, and stuck it in his mailbox so it looked like people knew where he lived. Don't mess with me, basically. And he opens this letter, and he's reading it, and he's going whiter and whiter. And he's like, oh my God, and I'm like, what? And he's like, this is the creepiest thing I've ever read. What is this? And then there's this other little tiny envelope within the envelope, and he opens it up, and it's just a picture of me going, which he has framed still on his mantle. I really got him good. And then we were at the Serenity Wrap Party, and we were all watching the blooper reel with the crew and the cast. And this thing pops up at the end from the editors. Thanks everybody, we had such a great time. And then it goes to black, and then it just says for Jewel. And I'm like, oh, you didn't. And this little Nathan Fillion doll pops up and goes, So months later, we're in Atlanta for Dragon Con, and we do this big panel, thousands of people. I mean, Dragon Con's a huge convention, so all the panels are large. I think Adam was there, and Alan, a bunch of us. And my friend Peter David, who's an author, was in the crowd early, and I asked him to pass out a flyer asking people to flip in the bird when I gave them the signal. And Nathan's dictating the Q&A, as he does, because he thinks he's really the captain. He's going, you sir, and then you're next, and you know, and we're all going, whatever, guy. And my buddy Peter stands up and holds his hand out, and Nathan goes, yes sir, you. He says, Nathan, we salute you. And 4,000 people got up and flipped in the bird. And that was the end of that. But every once in a while, I'll get a text. Sometimes it'll be a picture of the bird, but sometimes it just says finger. Instead of hello, just finger. I've been in hotels. I mean, he leaves notes for me in hotels. It's so out of control. It's just like, yes sir.
What's been your favorite gift that a fan given you? And then what's been
Oh yeah. I've gotten lots of lovely gifts. I sometimes get really beautiful paintings and portraits and all that, and my mom loves that stuff, so I give them to her. So, because if I had that hanging around my house, I'd look like the world's biggest narcissist. So, my mom has it hanging around her house, and she just looks obsessive. But yeah, man, I've gotten some creepy stuff. Ooh, Nelly. There's this one guy. He's not here, so I can tell the story. Please don't put this on the internet, because he's so sweet, but I just don't understand this. He prints out, you guys know imdb.com? Okay, if you don't, it's basically a search engine and a website that you can go to and look up any actor. And it says their entire resume and who they worked with and all that. And for some reason, he prints out my page from IMDb and gives it to me. Like, I don't know what I've been in, I guess. It comes up every time I see him. He goes, here you go. And I go, thank you. And last time I saw him, you know, we had a conversation and signed a picture for him, and he was going to leave, and I thought, oh my God, he didn't give it to me. And he went, oh, almost forgot. nervously. And by the time he gave it to me, it was shaped like his little fist. You know, it's the thought. It's the thought that counts. Oh, Lord. I didn't need it. I mean, it's strange, right? I didn't sample it. Yes, Mike.
Who's the person that you geek over that you want to meet?
Good question. I'm a big food nerd. Like, I'm a huge foodie. I have a food blog. Like, I'm a dork. I go to restaurants, I have a good meal, I take a picture of it, I write about it. So I would say my big thing is chefs, especially celebrity chefs. I got the chance to meet Wiley Dufresne in New York City, and he's a fabulous chef. My friend CB is very good friends with him. And he said, "Oh, Jewel, come meet Wiley. Wiley, this is Jewel." And they had this conversation, and he said, "Nice to meet you," and they're talking away, and I just did this. I didn't say anything, I just did this. I was also a huge fan of Lost, and Matthew Fox was my main man on Lost. And I was at a party in San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con. And he was in. And before this party, I had met this lovely, this guy, a fan of Firefly, who would come up and said, "Are you, I think you are who I think you are?" And I said, "Yes," and we took a picture, and he said, "Well, have a great time." I said, "Thanks very much." And he said, "Okay, well, I didn't know what to do." So he said, "Very good, very good, very good." And there was this really weird, sweet, uncomfortable moment. And he left, and I kind of laughed. So I'm at this party with Matthew, and my buddy knows J.J. Abrams, and Matthew's standing there with J.J. at this party. So he's like, "Let's go up there and talk to him. And I'll talk to J.J. and you can meet Matthew." And I said, "Okay." So we went out there, and he starts talking to J.J., and I looked at Matthew, and I said, "So, you must get this a lot." And he goes, "Get what a lot?" And I said, "Oh, meeting people at parties." And I didn't know what else to say, and he didn't know what to say. So he said, I like your dress," and I said, "Very good." Picture, my friends are at this party, one of them being Nathan, laughing at how ridiculously unpoised I am in this moment that I've envisioned. And this picture that they've taken of us is both of us looking for help in separate directions. So I'm looking over here like this, and he's literally looking over there like this. It's the best photo. But yeah, you know, I mean, we're all nerdy about something, aren't we? I met Benedict Cumberbatch. I know, oh my God. He's beyond a person. He's beyond. I mean, I knew he was going to be cute, but it was ridiculous. I was at Oz Comic Con in Australia a few weekends ago, and Benedict was there, and they brought out these Australian cookies. They're called Tim Tams. They're the best. They're so good. Like, melt them in a cup of tea or espresso, and they're just like amazing. So they brought in all these different flavors of Tim Tams in the green room, and we were all picking our favorite flavors. And I found these like vanilla chocolate ones, and I was hoarding them. And I was like, "These are mine, I like these ones." And someone else was like, "I like these ones the best." So we like all had our cookies, and little did I know, Benedict has come into the room, and he's like gorgeously standing there, kind of peering over me, and he says, "Oh, those look lovely." And I turn around with cookie in my mouth, cookie on my face, and I said, "These are mine!" Still single. Yeah. He was like, "Oh dear, oh, It was horrible. And that was like, I saw him once more at the convention in the hallway or whatever. He was like, "Hello," and I was like, "Hello." That's it. So we all nerded out over something. It's okay. It's all right. Yes, sir.
What was all the stuff you've done? What was the most grueling shooting day you've ever had?
Well, I had a few of those. Usually grueling shooting days involve being outside. in the elements, because that's something that we just can't control. So I've done shoots in the dead of winter when it's supposed to be summer, so you're wearing next to nothing. And that can be really, really taxing. We did a lot of Stargate outdoors in the rain. It rains a lot in Vancouver. So we were always just soaking wet. And they had these little tents made up for us with heaters inside, so in between setups we would run into the tent and try and get warm. But there's nothing more tiring than being cold. It's the weirdest thing. I think it's just from doing this all day, that at the end of the day you're just so depleted and tired. We also shot an episode of Atlantis called Trio, where it was me and David Hewlett and Amanda Tapping in a room that was built on hydraulics because we were supposed to be stuck in a mine, and it was having earthquakes and tremors every other hour. And they threw in dust and dirt in this room to make it look like this dirty old mine. But every time there was a tremor in the scene, all the dust would get kicked up in the room. It was horrible. And we were in there for a week. We were in that tiny room for a week. And it's the kind of thing where you blow your nose at the end of the day and it's just black. It comes out. It was so gnarly. And we just started laughing. Like, at one point in the shoot, we just got the hysterical laughs, you know, you can't stop. That kind of like hysteria, because it was all just so ridiculous. So I remember that being one of the best and one of the worst. Also, Jamestown, when we shot Firefly, was so disgusting. It reeked. I mean, the mud was just so gross. It was sweltering hot. So we're just dripping and dusty and just stunk everywhere. So that was really, I remember like Adam just opening bottles of water and just dumping them on his head, just trying to stay cool. So yeah, it usually has to do with the elements. And then you see the finished product, and of course you never see any of that. So no one ever knows what hell that was to shoot. Oh no, and I'm getting this, oh God, oh no! I hate this part. Okay, you in the green, yes, and then you, I promise. I'll talk fast.
I was a huge fan of Space Geeks back in the day. Yeah. You were writing anything for your character. How was you in this? Yeah.
In Space Cases?
Yeah.
Oh man. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing about Space Cases. I was a 12-year-old kid. There was a craft service table covered in candy. I was in heaven. We were also staying in the same apartment complex, so all those kids, we were all the best of friends, and we'd shoot all day and play all day, basically, and then go home and have Marco Polo parties in the pool, and it was just a crazy, happy time for me. So, I don't know. Oh, Catalina. I think Catalina would be even more of a handful if she got older. She's a handful already. Yes, sir. Yes.
I know Monday's your birthday, so I thought maybe we could sing happy birthday.
Yeah, I'm 21 on Monday.
Before we're going to sing happy birthday at the end of it, but let's just do it now.
We can do it now.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Woo. Happy birthday, dear Jewel. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. That's really nice. Okay, how many more?
We found that out from IMDb.
Oh, you did see it?
We found it out, where's that? Oh, I forgot.
Does IMDb say my real age? Hope not. Who's next? You. Everyone's pointing at you.
What's your favorite episode of Firefly?
My favorite episode of Firefly? I'll do to film and to watch, okay? I think my favorite episode to film was probably The Message, because it was near the end, and we'd all had this anxiety through the whole shoot, worried about the fate of our show. We were the underdog from the very beginning, and always thought that something bad was around the corner. Any day now we were going to get canceled. So once we found out while we were shooting the message, it was this weird sense of relief in a way. And then we all just kind of abandoned all inhibitions and just really decided to soak up the moment and enjoy it as much as possible and enjoy each other. So it was this really emotional week and a happy week in a weird way. And for me, all I knew for certain was that I had taken away some of the best friendships of my life. And I think that that's what that show brought me. And I still call those people my very close friends. So I knew that in a way I was very lucky. And we were also a part of something that felt different, just felt special. In terms of what I like to watch, it's a tie. I would say it's between Out of Gas, which always makes me cry. When Nathan says everybody dies alone, gets me every time. And I think Janestown is rather underrated. I really do. No one ever says Janestown, but it's hilarious. And Alan plays one of the best drunks I have ever seen. So yeah, I would say those two. Although I love Objects in Space very much, just because it's artsy and weird, and Joss was able to just go to town with that one and make it really different. I love that one too. But there's something about each one of them that I really adore. And I take away a good memory from each episode. So when I watch the show over again, which is every couple years ago, or every few years or so, there's always something I remember that I forgot, and it's always a good thing. So for me, I can say that about just about every single one of them. So this is kind of it for me. And I just want to thank you for being so nice to me and so welcoming down here. I mean, every single one of you has been really polite and wonderful, and I'm really grateful. So thanks for coming.